showing both sides can sometimes be a cop-out and, and do a disservice to the truth. One of the major challenges for international journalism is not just to say one side says this and the other side says that, because one side might be lying or lying more, which is more often. So I think putting things in context as opposed to what's being called both sidesism is critical in complex events, certainly in a case like this. To be fair to the news business, international media is part of the news business. It's very distressed right now as a business. They don't have foreign correspondents everywhere. They can't cover every story. It has to be interesting to people, and the news is interesting to people if it's new. Consider that. So this is why right now we have waning interest in covering the war, because it's become a war of attrition. What was new and exciting and seemed combustibly dangerous and interesting 2 months ago, 3 months ago, right now is sort of repeating itself every day, even though on the ground we have new tragedies every day. From a distance, the story looks the same, and I fear it may stay that way for months.
We're taking a very quick break now, but when we get back, we discuss the current state of affairs, or rather the fallout of the crisis there, most notably the food shortage.
Remember that it's not just Ukrainian grain, it's also Russian grain and fertilizer, and a lot of that stuff isn't getting through, not because of sanctions, but because it's being withheld, matters of payment that is difficult because of sanctions and insurance. Russia and Ukraine together account for a quarter of the world's grain, and that affects, as you say, Africa, also Egypt, many places. It's creating inflation. It's adding to global inflation that is caused by the pandemic and supply chains difficulties, and this could have enormous downstream effects, including to badly harm the administration in the U.S. in the coming midterms, because inflation is a major issue. Putin has the ability to turn up the flames of that. Russia has tried to create a he said, she said situation here, but I tend to look at who benefits, and by creating a massive crisis that threatens to badly harm Africa and disrupt the world economy, Russia benefits because it creates pressure on Ukraine to acquiesce and find a way to compromise over land or whatever.
So there appears to be a consensus among you panelists that it is some sort of a strategic move on behalf of Putin to accelerate concessions. But my question to you, and please feel free to interact, does he rather have leverage vis-a-vis African countries? Can he persuade them to perhaps play along with the Russian raison d'etat at this point in time, Dan?
I think he's expecting, African countries and others affected by this to cry foul and to try to influence the West to find a way to end the war. This is basically, I think, the strategy, to use economic damage inflicted upon Africa and in other ways, and also indirectly on the West, to cause the West to cease to support Ukraine in a way that enables Ukraine to put up such a stout defense, and essentially create pressure on Ukraine to give in to Russia in whatever way Russia might be willing to accept to end the war.